All right, it's Saturday and I'm doing laundry again, so let's answer a couple more questions. So my kids were actually 4 and 6 when I first started playing tabletop role-playing games with them, but we did not start with D&D. We started with a kids game called No Thank You Evil, and it was made, I believe, by one of the makers of D&D. It's basically like D&D light for kids. They basically took the core concepts, stripped it down, simplified it a whole bunch, and then threw a ton of whimsy into it. So my kids actually got to play No Thank You Evil for about 6 months before we even contemplated the idea of jumping into D&D. And at that point, they were kind of begging for it because they knew that we played. As for the other 2 goblins, my cousin's kids, they actually did a couple of one-shots that we homebrewed together for No Thank You Evil. Since my kid's birthday was still during the pandemic when everything was locked down this year, we did the one-shots as their birthday parties over Zoom with some of their friends. I also want to preface this by saying that all 4 of these children are incredibly imaginative and playful children. They engage in imagination play and creative role-playing type of games and interactions every single time they get together to play. They love dressing up, they love pretending to be other people, they love to be princesses and knights and heroes and all kinds of things. So getting them into this type of thing actually didn't take any convincing at all. They were all on board from the second they heard about it. As for keeping them engaged long term, I have ADHD and autism. 2 of the kids are diagnosed ADHD. There is a possibility of one or both of the others also having ADHD, but they have not been tested for it, at least at this time. One of the kids has autism, so I run my table as a neurodivergent playing with neurodivergent players. That being said, I tend to keep our sessions shorter. We aim for an hour and a half tops. And we also make sure we leave room for like snack breaks and potty breaks and things like that. Ultimately, when you're sitting down to play with your players, as the DM, your goal should always be for your players to have the most fun. So if they enjoy the role-playing aspect, lean hard into that. If they want combat, go for it. Absolutely throw stuff at them. But that also means keeping track of when their attention span is done and when they're ready to just be done with a session for that day. And that's totally okay. So when I play with the kids, I tend to have several different potential stopping points in mind. And we stop as soon as I see signs that they're starting to lose focus and they're ready to move on to some other activity. Now go forth and let chaos reign!